What up, y'all? Got a cool one for you. Damn, close my window. Got a cool one for y'all. This is a very personal one for me. It's video game related. It's it's about uh, two games that mean a whole lot to me. Dragons Dogma and Dragons Dogma 2. Give me a second. I can't find the other one, but this is Dragons Dogma, the original on the PS3, and the second one that came out a few months ago on the PS5 and other systems. But those two are my favorite games of all time. And I'm going to explain why I even wrote about it, because it just means so much to me. But I'll read what I wrote, and then I'll go from there. So, Hideki Itsuno created his dream game called Dragons Dogma and released it in 2012, then made a version closer to his vision in 2024. Both of these games has left such a profound impact on my life and the lives of millions of others around the world. But much of the game's meaning seems to be lost in translation for most players. Both Dogma games are essentially faithful recreations of Dungeons and Dragons with a heavy European influences, with elements of Lord of the Rings, Neverending Story, and Berserk. And these elements combine together to create a gaming experience where the player's story is told by their actions in the overworld, making every new game cycle completely unique and varied. You take on the role as the Arisen, who was chosen by the dragon to continue the cycle of death and rebirth in the endless fight between the two. Though these fights seem to be the main focus of the plot on the surface, it shows the true purpose of the Arisen, and all of the residents of the land are connected on a deeper level. Hopefully that makes sense. Sometimes I just be writing. In the world of Dragon's Dogma, everyone has a set purpose that makes everything run as it should. Everything and everyone you interact with is there for a reason, and at the end of your journey, that reason becomes more clear to the player. Their true purpose is to end the cycle between them and the dragon, so the rest of the world can continue to live their purpose uninterrupted. The Arisen was never meant to rule over the land, but instead to remove themselves, as well as the threat of the dragon terrorizing the land. This not only, I was like reading this, like, what the hell am I reading? This not only frees the people, but it also frees the pawns, I'll talk to them about them a little bit, from their fate being tied to the mission of the Arisen and giving them the ability to create their own purpose. Learning this deeper meaning of the game gave me so much clarity on the events that have and are unfolding in my own life, while recognizing the parallels between the Arisen and myself. I've never thought of myself as anything special, but at the same time, I've always known I was destined for a greater purpose that was unknown to me. Like the Arisen, many obstacles and challenges were thrown at me all throughout my life. Tons of dangerous foes needed defeated, and allies gained and lost throughout the way. And as we both continued through our journey, it became more evident that our presence caused a disturbance for those around us, and that we aren't meant to stay here for long. Because once we finally slay our personal dragons and complete part of our purpose, we must remove ourselves, as well as our presence only as our presence only brings hardship for the people in our lives. So we kill the dragon within ourselves, then take our leave. Only and only then can we truly have peace. I'll clean up the end of that one of these days, but that's essentially my thoughts on Dragons Dogma. It's a great game. Like I said, it's a really faithful and decent recreation of Dungeons and Dragons made by like a Japanese developer in Capcom. But when you go into the game, you start, you find out your role as the Arisen, and you get your pawns who are pretty much humans but without a free will. People who are just kind of there to assist you on your goal. They don't really have too much of a identity outside of just helping you. In the first game, you give your own personal pawn after you sacrifice yourself. You give them your old identity. Now they're the Arisen, and they get to live on, and you kind of move on. You kind of just go. There really isn't a metaphor for what happens to the Arisen, but your pawn lives through you, and you give your pawn that free will, that life that it never had in the first game, which is very good, which is very cool. But in the second game, that was the one that truly got his fuller vision. Once you slay the dragon, and once you figure out that you're not actually supposed to be the king, you're not supposed to sit there and enjoy the fruits of your labor because your purpose isn't done. You find out that you're supposed to like slay yourself, which slays the dragon, since you're both intertwined. And then the true dragon shows up. You slay that dragon, and then after you slay the true dragon, the world goes back into peace. The chaos is removed. I don't want to get too much into spoiler territory, even though I know most people who want to watch this probably have played the game. All the terror is removed from the land, and no one knows what happens to the Arisen. It's not said that the Arisen, passes or whatever, but it still is pretty ambiguous. And there's a reason why these two games are my favorite games of all time. I have that message on both games has resonated with me like nothing ever has. I definitely believe that video games can be art. They are essentially art, but it's not viewed the same. And both of these Dogma games are the most artistic things I've ever experienced in my entire life. There's the philosophy of each of them, especially the first game, the characters, the events. It was just very well crafted, and this was clearly his love child. This is his magnum opus. This is the game he always wanted to make, at least for Capcom. When he used to work for them, he's no longer with them anymore, and he made it. He did it. He made two of the greatest games of all time for Capcom because they probably treated him very well, and they let him do his thing. He's a great developer, Itsuno. If you haven't played any of his games, I definitely will recommend playing all his games and looking up his biography. I'm not sure what that word I'm trying to say, but I think you know what I mean. But going back to like the parallels, I definitely see that in myself, where I know I never felt like I was anything special. I never felt that I was above or below anyone. I wanted to be shoulder to shoulder, but at the same time, I knew I was destined for something. People look at me for a reason. People are expecting me to do something grander than myself for a reason. I just never knew what that reason was. It was always the confusing part of it. It's like, what are you looking at me for? It's like that scene from The Incredibles where that kid's constantly looking at Mr. Incredible. And he like snaps at him. He's like, what do you want? And he's like, waiting for you to do something amazing, I guess. And I'm like, oh, that's what people look at me for. So I need to slay the dragon and leave, because I know in my personal life as well, I cause a lot of chaos, a lot of turmoil, a lot of uncertainty, and it's not always bad, but at the same time, I know in all of my groups that I'm in, I can't be there for long term. That's not what I'm here to do. I have to do what I'm there to do, slay that dragon and leave. And once that dragon's slain, then I have to, remove myself from that place. I think I just did that quite a few times this past week. I think I slayed a few dragons, but I'm not sure if any of those dragons were the dragon. I don't feel like it was. I feel like I just slayed lesser dragons or drakes. Not the artist, but I don't know if it's like a European word for dragons, but if you play video games, you know what a drake is, or if you know anything about mythology. But yeah, I don't think these were actual dragons. I think they were like lesser dragons. Not to make them lesser, but at the same time, you're still a dragon, so you still matter. We all matter. But the purpose of these games, and what really kind of stuck out with me as well, is the fact that everyone matters. Every single person matters, no matter what. No one's bigger than anybody else. You're the arisen, but you are not the main character. You know what I'm saying? You are there for a reason. She's there for a reason. He's there for a reason. All the shopkeepers, all the quest givers, they're there for a reason. They're just not there hanging out for you. You know what I'm saying? They're there to do something. They got their own shit they got to do. You got your own shit you got to do. You're both going to do it. In both games, make that very, very clear. And I love that. I love that about these games. And once I do make my own games, all of my games are going to have that same energy of you don't matter. If you don't finish the quest, someone else is going to do it for you. Yeah, because there's so many, the gaming space and sphere has made so many people think that only they matter, especially like the Elder Scrolls, like the Bethesda games. Nothing happens without you getting involved. The other people don't matter. They're just there to make you seem cool, which says a lot about Todd Howard. But I still have empathy for him because he's probably had a rough life being who he is, and him just trying to exist and people just shitting on him. So I feel for him. At the same time, because of people not giving him the credit he deserves, he definitely people not giving him credit. He has developed some bit of like main character / imposter syndrome, and his game show that he's not the only person working on these games, but he has a heavy influence on them, and he definitely has gotten them to where nothing happens without your involvement. And it's a bad, no, I won't say it's a bad look, but it definitely has created the environment that we're in right now, where so many people are like, no, my thoughts, my emotions matter more than other people's. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting right now. And games like that, games like Bethesda games, or most games in general, just kind of give you that I matter, you don't. I'm even actually playing through, Pokemon Yellow again from my childhood, and even that game doesn't even have that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're constantly trying to keep up with Gary the entire game. He's always a step ahead of you, and the game makes you remember that you are not the only person doing this. You might be the only person really taking down Team Rocket. You might be the only one catching all the Pokemon, but you're not the only one actually making things happen in this world. And I love that about these games. I love about games that do that. I do want to make more videos about which games do that, because I feel like growing up I played quite a few of those where you are part of something bigger than yourself, and you're trying to figure out where you fit in that grand scheme of things. I know Rockstar, especially back in their PS2, PS3 era, they made a lot of games like that where you were just a cog in a machine. You are not the machine. You know what I'm saying? You're just a cog, and things happen outside of you, and you kind of have to keep up with it. I love it, especially with GTA 4. That's one of my favorite games of all time. That game is very real. My God, that game is real. I love it to death. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole that part of the Yap session. But yeah, Dragons Dogma, both of them are just legendary games. If you did not play the first one when it came out, I definitely do not envy you. It was a magical time back in 2012, obviously, before all this, but even then it was really great being part of the ecosystem, trading between players by giving your equipment to pawns and being part of those message boards, killing the UR dragon. It was a great time. It was such a beautiful time. And now with the newer one, and people are kind of butthurt because that one's um, competing with what's his face, Baldur's Gate 3. That's why so many people were shitting on Dragons Dogma 2 because they felt threatened by it. You know, a Japanese game. How dare a Japanese game get anywhere near their precious European masterpiece? You know, that was the energy that I kind of saw from it, at least, where they did not appreciate this game for what it is. It's amazing, but like I said, that's the vibe right now. That's the vibe. We're gonna have to get through it, kind of, you know, make our way past it. But yeah, the second game does not deserve half, quarter of the hate that it received. It's just kind of how people are. They're gonna find different ways to nitpick it, be very autistic about it, extremely autistic about what's wrong with this game. It's insane. But there is actual faults with this game as well. But overall, it's still a masterpiece. But yeah, this game has meant so much to me as a person, as a human, and I want people to, you know, have a better understanding of what games can do to your mind, especially if you're neurodivergent. Like, they're made by grown ass people, you know, grown as adults who have wants and dreams and desires, and they want to make great art. And I feel like people are missing out if they don't engage in it. I feel like, I mean, obviously, the video game industry is the most lucrative one. I'm not saying it's the most popular, but a lot of people play video games either on their phones, consoles, and computers, or whatever. People do play games, but people definitely do play games, but people also play video games. And it's a great way, not so much to escape, but actually to expand your mind and to see things from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? I'll make a different video about what video games truly meant to me, and how it made me the person I am today. It built my empathy, it built my understanding, and made me put myself in different situations that I probably wouldn't have been in if I didn't have a video game. You know, it definitely makes people a more of a well-rounded person, but you gotta be playing the right ones. If you're just playing the same ones over and over and over again, then you're not really going to flesh your personality out. But if you're playing a whole bunch of different ones, and I have a great video game collection that I'll probably show off at one point as well. That yeah, it's just once you really get those different ideas and thoughts circulating through your head, it makes you a better person overall, because you're getting some of people's greatest ideas, arts, their greatest passions. You know, another one of my favorite games, Fallout New Vegas. That game is just same thing. If you played that game when it came out, sheesh, you know what I'm saying? That was a great time, but it can still be enjoyed today. It's one of the greatest RPGs of all time. But yeah, Dragons Dogma definitely lit a fire in me about knowing who I am in this world, knowing that I am one of the many Arisens, and I have to go out here and start slaying a lot of these dragons. And regardless of what happens to me, it does not matter what happens to me. I am the Arisen. I am here for a reason. You know, even though I'm not the main character, I don't matter any more than anybody else. But I will slay these dragons. I will continue to. I have been like slaying smaller ones. I will continue to slay them, and once I slay the biggest one, that's when you'll know, because I won't be here anymore. And whatever that means, I'm accepting it in every way, shape, or form. But I know I'm going. I just feel it in me that I'm about to slay a dragon, like the dragon, here pretty soon. You know, this is going to be published the day after. This is like November 26th of 2024. Today's my mother's birthday. You know, we're getting up on Thanksgiving, but yeah, I just feel this happening. I feel that this is going to happen here pretty soon. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to me. I don't really care what happens to me. I just know that by me slaying this dragon, it will free everyone else up in a way. Obviously, people are going to feel a certain type of way about me not being here, and that's fine. But no, nothing lasts forever. All good things must come to an end. And yeah, I'm accepting my fate. I'm accepting my existence. I know what I was put on this earth to do. And Itsuno and Capcom and a whole bunch of other people definitely gave me the guidance I needed that people in my real life weren't going to give me. They were just going to keep gaslighting me and telling me this. I'm just a regular smuggler ass person. But I've always known that I was destined for something bigger than myself. And this is what this is. So shout out to Dragons Dogma, shout out to video games in general. They're such a great tool made by men and women. We are very hard on ourselves about things that are man-made and they're not natural and this, that, and the third. Like, men are nature, women are nature. Everything we do is natural, regardless of how we feel about it. Everything we do is natural. So the fact that, we created such great things that do take away from nature, that does destroy other ecosystems around us, we understand that we need to be better about it, but not be so hard on ourselves. I would never give up playing video games, ever. I know the benefits of them. I even did a lot of research on like the psychological benefits of video games, and I went to PAX East. I think the week that Dragons Dogma 2 came out. I think it's back in March, and I went to a panel where there's a teacher telling me that she has classes for students where they play video games as the curriculum, and they're learning things, learning empathy, they're learning compassion, they're learning how to do a whole lot of things. They're probably going to start learning how to speak different languages using video games, and that's the future of child rearing. I know if I don't disappear, and if I actually do have a chance to raise a family, I know I'm going to do that for my kids. They're definitely going to be learning from video games, because there's so many lessons that can be learned from video games that you're not going to get in real life, especially if you're a very gifted, very high vibration, very attractive person. You're just not going to get that from people. They're going to keep that from you. But I got the resources. I got all the good stuff here, the books, the movies, the games, all that stuff that people have given out. And I want to, spread that. Even if I don't, eventually, like, something happens to me, someone's gonna come in here, they're gonna take it, and please respect the stuff that I have here. I spent a whole lot of time getting some really cool stuff. I had to sell some of my better games because I didn't want to hoard them all, and I needed the money, honestly. But I also didn't want to hoard some of the greatest games of all time for myself. I don't want to be like a massive hoarder, but I still have some of them. I have most of them left. I just don't have a lot of the more expensive ones. But I still, want to continue painting gaming in a better light, and I think this video will help, because if anybody needs a game to play, especially now, it is these two games for sure. The first one and the second one, they're very different from each other, so you're not going to feel the same about the both. Truthfully, I feel I like the second one more than the first, even though the first one, like, if they were reversed and the second one was first and the first one was second, I would still prefer the second one. I feel like it is more fleshed out than the original, even though the original had more stuff to do. It's a different engine. There's a whole bunch of different stuff about it. A lot of people want to get hyper artistic about it, but I still prefer the second one over the first one. It talks about, prejudice, racism. Talks about destiny. It talks about purpose and like reading between the lines. You know what I'm saying? It's not super like in your face about what it's actually saying. You kind of have to spend some time digesting what's actually going on in the environment, and then you'll kind of get what's going on. So that's why I love that game so much. It is such a beautiful thing, and I want to spread that as much as humanly possible. If I can give anybody any advice on anything, is play these games, these two games, because they're fantastic. They truly are. They helped me through such tough times. Both times, when I was playing the second one, after I got home from PAX, I went to I even bought it at a GameStop in Boston when I came back to Cleveland. I was like literally like smiling ear to ear, and I was saying like, Itsuno, you did not have to apologize. This game is basically, the second one is basically an apology for not finishing the first one. He felt very bad about that, because that was his magnum opus, that was his baby, and they gave him another chance. They didn't give him a chance to finish the first one. They gave him another chance because it did so well to make the second one and finish it, and that's what he did. And you can just tell right from the rip that this game was made for people who played the first and didn't finish it, or played the first and wanted him to finish what he started, and he did with the second one, and that's why I love it. I love it because that's the game that he wanted. He might not have used the engine that he wanted. He might not have had all the creative liberties that he wanted because he's working under Capcom. But overall, he made what he was looking for. And I'm happy for him. And I'm happy that that was his last game as well. He went out on top, and now he's doing bigger and better things. Hopefully I'll be able to see what he's working on next. But if not, you guys, make sure you support my boy Itsuno, because they don't make him like him. You know what I'm saying? They do not make it like him. Those dudes like him are a dying breed, and it's very sad to see. But all good things, like I said, must come to an end, and someone else will come up and surpass him in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully it's one of you guys. I'm really hoping so. I'm hoping you guys are motivated by these videos to go out here and do great things, no matter what people say, no matter what people do. You know what I'm saying? Keep shining and don't stop. Don't ever stop shining. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully I got most of what I wanted. I've been yapping for almost damn near half an hour about various topics other than the game, but the main thing is, like, I know what my purpose is because of these games, because of other things that influence me, that I'm going to continue doing it. I'm going to continue to start slaying these dragons and making the world at peace, because when you are the Arisen, you are chaos walking. You know, you are the Alpha, you are the Omega, you are life, you are death, you are everything and nothing at the same time. And when you are that type of person, you just have this underlining feeling that I just don't belong here. You know what I'm saying? I don't really belong here. And you have to do something about it. There's a dragon in here that needs to be slain. Once you slain that dragon, you have to leave. At some way, shape, or some point, you have to leave. And that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that now, actually. This entire week, I'm going to be spending leaving. Slaying dragons and leaving. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, hopefully these videos find y'all, and you guys learn or get something out of them. You know, I try to be a man of few words and not overly yap and give you a bunch of like garbage, just to try to fill in dead space. That's why I don't edit these videos. I don't want to. If these videos are going to be long, I want them to at least have some substance to them and not just be just me yapping about a whole bunch of nonsense. But obviously you guys are going to tell me that, not me. That's it. You know, I'm going to take up most of your time, too much of your time, which you guys will never get back. But hopefully this reached y'all, did something for y'all, and yeah, give you some clarity about who I am and the person who I am trying to emulate. But other than that, that's it. Y'all take it easy.